Good morning, Muscatine. I don't know if you know, it's still not December. We're into March, and I'm looking outside, and it is actually bright and sunshiny. And the best news is, I have new furniture here. I got something to lean my arm on. I'm going to be a lot more comfortable now on the show. It's something that's been bothering me. I haven't had something to lean on while we talk, so it's nice. I've got a new thing here. Probably won't be here every day, though. A couple quick things before we get started, because we've got a great show for you today. You still have the chance to get to the Agatha Christie Mousetrap put on by the Wilton Fine Arts Guild this weekend. So make sure you get your tickets for that. And you've got Bowl for Kids' Sake to sign up for, which contact Lindsay Phillips out at the Y, the Big Brothers Big Sisters director. And also, I just lost it. There's one other important, the Crossroads Branson raffle. Make sure you contact Megan Francis and get your tickets for that. You can buy a whole bunch and get a discount, so definitely do that. So this morning we've got two sets of guests for you. MPW will be here later to talk about some really important stuff regarding power generation and how they're going to approach the future. But first, we have the Madison Leadership Council here, and they're doing something pretty cool, so they thought it'd be cool to come on and talk about it. So first we have, well, this is the whole council. Is it the whole council? I guess I... Don't forget the mic.
This is about half of our Madison Leadership Group.
So you are Olivia Fogelson.
I'm
correct?
Olivia Fogelson.
And I assume you're the advisor?
No, Mrs. Zillig is the advisor for the council.
Oh, gotcha.
This was just a project that I'm very passionate about that I wanted this team to take on.
Gotcha. Okay. So what is the Madison Leadership Council? What do these guys do?
This group of kids and a few other sixth graders that are also at Madison come up with different projects and different things to help within our community. Some of the things that they've done previously is food drives, so to save money for the food pantry. They have also done collecting supplies for the Humane Society. They did that last year, and they come up with different things that can help within our community. And so they use their lunchtime to work on projects.
Gotcha. Well, that's pretty awesome, guys. First of all, thank you for being like good, upstanding citizens, taking a role in what's going on in the community. That's huge. Okay. So, who wants to talk first and start telling me about what's going on and what you guys are doing? Okay.
So, what we're doing right now is we are trying to get donations for a blood drive place called ImpactLife. So ImpactLife is a place that you can donate blood. It's right next to Hy-Vee, and the date that you can donate is May 15th to April 15th.
What? Wait, April 15th to May 15th?
No, March to May.
March to May.
Yeah, April.
March to April.
March to April.
March to April. Okay.
If one school gets 20 plus donators, they can get a grant of $270, and if they have more, then they can get a bigger grant.
The schools that are doing it are Madison, Grant, Mulberry, Jefferson, McKinley, Franklin, and the Early Learning Center.
Okay.
Ages 16 and 17 can donate, both in good health, ages 16 with parent permission.
Do you guys even need me? I'm just going to let them roll.
The ImpactLife Associate Board came up with the idea, and one of the reasons we're doing this is to help the community and help other people.
We have to at least raise $20 for each, if 20 donations of the blood drive, and if we do, the school raises $270 for the school to help the school.
Okay, so here's a question. If somebody, now obviously like my son goes to Mulberry, so like if I go over there, I just tell them that that I'm with Mulberry. Is that easy? Does that sound about right? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what you do. Like all the elementary schools and the Early Learning Center in Muscatine are doing this. So all you have to do is go there, and then you can tell them which school you're going to do it for.
Okay.
And then that's one of the donors towards their 20 people or more.
So are you guys all going to like rumble out in the streets between the schools to see who can get the most? Like, no, I want this person, and take them over to go donate, or?
Well, we want every school to get the grant. We don't, it's not
Look at you guys, so
a race. It's just, you can save a lot of people's life. For each donate, you can possibly save 3 people's life.
Okay.
So, there are codes, but you don't need them. So
Wait, I can get a code? I want a code.
so you can get a code for different schools. So like the Early Learning Center is 4941. And so
Do you know Mulberry's? Just
no.
make something up.
I think Mulberry's 4943.
I mean, because if I can have a code, I want a code.
Yeah.
Like,
But when you go there, you can just say the school. You don't need the code.
okay, so they can like translate the school to a code for me.
Well, wait, what was the question?
They can translate the school to the code for me. They can do that.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
They should.
So now, like on a blood donation, like, do you guys know, like, do I have to like take the blood out at home first and then take it into him and give it to him, or how does that work?
So you go over to ImpactLife,
Yeah.
and like it's like how they would normally draw blood from you. So like it's like the needle that.
Oh, so like I don't have to do it myself?
No.
I don't have to get like a bucket? Okay.
No.
That'd be bad. I don't think I'd do very well with that. That'd be messy. Oh, you look.
Do you have a question?
I have many questions. Let's see. 2x plus 4 equals 8. What's x?
You have to isolate the x to get x by itself. So subtract it by 2. And then 2.
Yeah, 2. I was just saying, I don't even know if I remember quite what the equation I gave you was, but we're going to roll with it.
It was
It was
2x
plus
4 equals 8. So 2 times 2 equals 4, and then 4 plus 4 equals 8, so that's the answer.
And the worst part was I was having to do the math in my head to make up the equation while trying to keep talking. Is there anything else that you guys want to make sure that people know about your blood drive?
We just want to help the community, so we would like as many people as they can, 17-year-olds and older and 16-year-olds with parent permission to come to go to ImpactLife and donate blood to help people in the community.
Oh, actually, I did come up with it. Do they have to schedule a time in advance, or can they just go? Do you know?
Yes, they need to go on to the ImpactLife website, or you can call ImpactLife. The website also, there's a flyer out, and we've posted it on different social media pages that you can take a picture of as well.
Yeah, and down in the scroll, folks, you've seen you can register at impactlife.org/Muskie Madness. It's got all the information there. You can register, and we'll put it in the links on the or the comments on the.
Don't worry, your code's there too.
Sweet. I'm gonna like put that code on my wall. Well, guys, this is awesome. It's really great that you're doing it for the community, and I hope you guys do really well. You'll make sure that Mrs. Zillig or somebody sends me the results on how you did, right? Yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming in. We'll take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with Gage and Doug from Muscatine Power and Water.
Okay, guys, we've been through a lot together. We all know sometimes it gets hard, but it's okay to not feel okay. You know what helps? A good book or going for a walk. Not now, Fred. But what really helps is to talk to someone. Because to take care of each other, you gotta take care of you. If you need to talk to someone, your doctor will listen. Unity Point Health. Know how much you matter to this world.
We just don't work out in a single plane of motion.
We've all been through a lot together. And along the way, you'll find out who really cares for you and who you can trust. Because there's a lot of stuff that happens in life. Like those days when the amazing happens. Or those days that are really, really hard. That's why you need someone like Unity Point Health. Because when it comes to your health, you gotta have someone you can trust. Unity Point Health. Know how much you matter to this world.
Hi, I'm TJ Deere, General Manager here at Toyota of Muscatine.
Hi, I'm Megan and I'm from Muscatine.
My name is Logan and I'm from Muscatine.
Here at Toyota Muscatine, we believe in investing in our community.
And that's why all our members are local to the Muscatine area.
It's why we give generously to charities based in our city.
Because we believe that giving back means paying it forward.
That's why an investment in us is an investment in our community.
Welcome back. We have with us now Gage Huston and Doug White from Muscatine Power and Water. Gage is the general manager.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah, whatever.
And Doug has this really long title that's going to be on your screen. But basically, he's in charge of like making the power, right? I mean, and making sure it's all there and we've got enough. And it's like Director of Power Production and Supply.
Perfect. I can't even remember it.
Okay, I don't feel so bad then.
Don't feel bad.
Like, I will say though, other than you guys all have really cool titles. like the rest of you guys have awesome titles.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we've been talking about in Muscatine for I don't even know how long now is what the future of power looks like, right? Because we're in this like transition period of fossil fuels to renewables and making sure that things work and that they're affordable and that the environmental side makes sense. And you guys have done a tremendous job of preparing Muscatine for that. You guys you've done a power study, and then I'm probably going to get this a little wrong, but it's close. We're part of this thing called MISO, which is not a soup. It's basically like the big regional power group, for lack of a better term. And you guys work with them to supply power back and forth. And one thing you guys did yesterday was you kind of talked to the community about where all this stands and what Muscatine Power and Water's role will be with them and like what we can do in the community. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that's a great tee up, Chris, and thank you for having us, by the way. And I like to say the industry, the electric industry overall, is still in the early stages of that major transition, to a more reduced carbon production system. And so we, like all utilities, are trying to wade our way through that transition and studying options to how we're going to produce electricity for our community going forward and reduce our carbon impact, but in a way that keeps the system very reliable and also affordable for our customers. And so as you said, we've done studies, and so we conducted a study back in 2019 and we shared a lot of information at that time. We just completed another study and held a customer forum yesterday afternoon. We hosted around 75 customers who came in, were interested, presented the results of the study and some of the key conclusions. And so we wanted to come and just talk a little bit about that today. So as you mentioned, Doug, I'll just call him our power supply expert for Muscatine. He's been with the utility for almost 35 years. He is a foremost expert in Muscatine, and we're lucky to have him working on such an important initiative. So have Doug talk a little bit, very high level, kind of about the study itself and kind of what some of the key takeaways were.
Go ahead.
So let's hear it. Let's see what we got.
Well, last night it took me an hour and a half to get through this. So
you got 6 minutes. You got what we need.
So these things are super complicated, right? As we talk, the world of energy is changing. So we engaged a company called Leidos Engineering that really helps us sort through this, because they look at what's going to happen in the future. What's going to be the price of energy in the next 20 years? They look at changes in the transmission system, what's going to retire, what's going to be added, what types of assets, where they're at, to help us try to get a price of power in Muscatine. So we can start looking at combinations of assets and see how we compete against those prices out in the market. At the same time, trying to make sure that we have not only compete in the market, but we keep the system in Muscatine reliable. And you have to have capacity here, a certain amount of capacity here, and we also have to have that capacity with a little bit extra, and that helps the MISO footprint all stay reliable as well. So it becomes a very complex problem, and it takes statistical analysis by somebody with a much larger computer than we have to try to figure it out.
One of those Monte Carlo simulations.
Yes, it is. As a matter of fact, it is a Monte Carlo simulation. It's iterative.
Not just a pretty face, folks.
That's really good. It's an iterative process that goes round and round and round, and it, like I said, it picks out the price of energy for every hour for the next 20 years.
Somebody was paying attention in school. That's impressive.
Well, John DeBeat was here yesterday, and he was my stats and micro and macro over at MCC.
Yeah.
And, I think that's literally the one thing I can remember from my college days. So
that may have earned him that achievement award, is getting you to actually remember some of that stuff. That's impressive.
How much having me as a student probably helped in that case. So one thing that has always impressed me about how you guys handle this situation, because I mean, this is like, if I was doing this, folks, honestly, I'd probably just pick one and run with it and be good, right? Like, so be thankful it's them, not me. But you guys started at the very beginning, and you created 4 pillars of how you would essentially make these decisions, right?
Right.
And a lot of companies do that, but what I love about it is you guys actually use it. Like, everything you do comes back to these 4. And what are the 4 pillars that you originally picked?
Yeah, now we early on in this process identified those kind of 4 fundamental pillars, and it's reliability. We actually have a long history of strong reliability in Muscatine. We've been recognized at the national level through the APPA on that, and we think that is critical to maintain as we go through this transition. And the system around us is becoming less stable and less reliable, so the decisions we make for Muscatine are really important to maintain that reliability. So that's really probably priority 1. And the next piece is affordability. So we also have a long history of low rates below state and national averages. We think that's really important for lots of reasons. Residential customers, especially low income, we have a lot of low income customers in Muscatine. Utility bills are a big part of their monthly expenditures, and so low rates are important for those customers especially. And then we have a lot of business in Muscatine. Low rates allow them to compete in their industry, and so if those rates get out of control, that can have a big impact on employment and economic activity. So reliability, affordability, and then flexibility is the third piece. As we are going through those changes in the industry, making sure our decisions allow us to be flexible. And then sustainability rounds that out, looking at our impacts on the environment and on the climate, and focusing more over the last several years on that carbon emission piece of sustainability. And so looking at that balanced scorecard as we look at the options in front of us to make sure we're hitting on all those things.
And one of the things, Doug, that we did this 100th anniversary celebration last year, and I did a lot of interviews with you and Sal and some others. And one of the neat things was on the affordability piece, and this is something that I think kind of goes into what this conversation really tees off with is, in the, I'm going to screw this up too, folks, but 70s, 80s, there was some extra production built, and because, people like topped out, everybody got their appliances, got their air conditioners, you didn't need quite as much as you thought, but then you guys were able to sell that extra electricity from the generation back into the grid, right? And that helped offset a lot of the costs for the community. And we've lived off of that for the last 30, 40, 50 years, right? And so that's a cool thing that you guys have been able to do, and like entrepreneurial. And, changing capacity changes all this stuff. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how that all plays together. So as you guys look at the power study itself, it's the roadmap, right? What's the most important thing for people to know about the roadmap? Because obviously this isn't a crystal ball, we can't just nail it, but like, what are the most important things to know about how you did the power supply study?
I think the key to this is be ready for change. That flexibility piece is going to be really important. As you pointed out, having excess capacity in the past has really benefited MPW, but all through history, we've never really shut a unit off and then started one.
Right.
There's always an overlap, right? Yeah. And so how long you hang on to that other asset is really dictated by the market and the economics. You don't want to hang on to it if it isn't going to help you out. So that same philosophy moving forward is really a key piece of all of our conversations. And one of the reasons we deferred the retirement, or the board deferred the retirement of Plant 1, Units 7 and 8, just because the world is changing so quickly that all of a sudden we got a price signal from the MISO footprint or from MISO capacity that said, may not be time to shut these off. This is, we've all of a sudden got really short on capacity, so the board allowed us to hang on to those assets for a while. Same way with the transition moving forward, one of the options or one of the recommendations is look at a small combined heat and power unit that kind of dips our toes into the world of natural gas and gives us that next stepping stone should we need to go that way, or it's small enough that we can expand the renewables if the market looks like it's going that way. So it's a very diverse portfolio, but also gives us that flexibility to adapt to whatever the market does.
Well, and that flexibility piece, one thing is, like, you guys analyzed like 19 different scenarios, and like Mitch was, I got to see this where you had like white, orange, and green like little moons on like how likely it is and what the good and the bad of each one of the scenarios are. And so, you studied everything from 100% renewables to, I don't even know what the other combinations were, but fill in the
one
blank.
end of the spectrum to the other.
Right. And so what, when you look at those outcomes, there's so many possibilities. How do you begin to start balancing that? Because like you guys have got to do, what is it, like 150 something megawatts? Like you've got to do, like, how does that all play together?
We talk a little bit about maybe the difference between capacity and energy and those components.
And that's, we talk about energy, and you think plug something into the wall, you get your energy, right? But as a load serving entity in MISO, we have to be able to prove that we can cover our native system load, either with assets or buying it out of the market. Well, we just found out, or not just found out, but the price of buying out of the market just got very volatile here this last year. That was part of the deferment of the retirement. So making sure you have enough and don't put a lot of risk out into the market is important as we move from one asset to the next. And so that's a key piece of the base of the study, is that you have to have this capacity. We also have a requirement of 90 megawatts of spinning capacity or dispatchable.
Does that mean like 90 of you guys go out and spin around in the
we all do this in unison.
We all do our part.
Can we make Jamie Raker do that this afternoon and get a video of it?
Oh no.
I'll make him do it tonight.
He's working on other things.
I would, but he's busy right now. But that means that we have to have 90 megawatts that can respond to load changes.
Gotcha.
Not all of it, but we have to be able to adjust to make sure that we cover the load, because energy needs to be made at the exact moment that it's used.
Well, and that's one thing, Chris, I don't know if you can pull up the parking lot example on the screen here.
Yeah.
And this is one thing that, like, as I started working with you guys more closely, I think I sort of knew it, but I didn't understand how, like, really critical it is. I guess I just always assumed, like, and as I'm saying it makes no sense, but I just always assumed you guys were like running at capacity, people plug stuff in and they pull off whatever you needed, and I guess I just thought maybe we wasted the other. I don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's more along the lines of, like, literally somebody plugs something in and then a generator spins a little bit faster. I mean, I'm sure not at all how it works, but
right.
The concept is there.
But
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, if there's more load all of a sudden,
right,
you guys have to adjust and do whatever it is you do to make more power.
Yeah, the electric system is unique in that way. I mean, in terms of other types of commodities or other markets where it's basically always in balance, and it has to stay within a very tight band of voltage levels and frequency levels. So as you say, as load increases or decreases, something has to adjust constantly throughout the day to make sure everything stays in balance and stays safe.
All right, so I'm going to go off the grid for a minute because I'm curious about something. So if you're producing enough to go out, but you're running a little over, where's the extra go?
Go ahead.
Like
well, we sell that into the MISO.
So that's when you push it over. So like you don't have to worry about. Okay.
But we don't push over unless if there's some margin.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
just the opposite, if we don't even produce as much as we need, if we can buy it out of the market less than we can produce it for.
Yeah.
That just makes sure that the whole community is supplied with the lowest cost energy all the time.
Because all of a sudden I was just having this vision of like some rod out in the ground with the extra wind spun down into.
Just drain it, right. Unfortunately, we don't have that flexibility.
Okay, so that totally makes sense.
Yeah. You want to cover that parking lot analogy, as I think it is a good one.
It is,
yeah. So, is this parking lot up somewhere?
Yeah, it is. It's up. Yeah, they can see it all.
I'm a professional here. Believe it or not.
It's right down there.
Okay, it's right down there. So, capacity is we use this analogy of the high school parking lot. So, you've gone out there when there's almost no cars in it, but the parking lot has to be that big because sometimes it's completely full. So no matter how many cars are in the parking lot, you still have to have the parking lot and pay for the parking lot to be there so you're ready when that load comes in. And the amount of energy that's produced kind of represents how many cars are in the parking lot at any one time. So for us, the capacity that we need, or the size of our parking lot, is about 156 megawatts of generating capacity. We have to be able to prove that we can do that to be in MISO. And then for the amount of energy that we produce, it's an average of about 104 megawatt hours a day or an hour. So, but that changes up and down with seasons.
Right. And so then essentially this 156 number that you're seeing on there, that's like the combined total of all our sources. So that's like wind, solar, coal, gas in the future, like all that. So like right now, as far as like renewables, what does the portfolio look like? What direction is that headed roughly? I mean, it looks like
so today we have our South Fork Wind Farm as part of our portfolio, about 13 megawatt nameplate. It makes about 5.5% equivalent of our native system annual energy. We've signed a contract for Muscatine Solar 1, probably heard some talk of that. That will roughly double the amount of renewable energy in our footprint. The great thing about that project is it'll be local. It'll be right on our Grandview Wellfield site here in Muscatine, and we're looking for that to be in service around the end of 2025. And then the other alternatives in the study basically looked at different levels of increase in renewable percentage above and beyond that. So we have some that range to 25% target, 50% target, or even 100% target. And so part of the analysis was, evaluating how those different types of portfolios perform on that balanced scorecard approach.
So one thing that we should talk about is like, and we touched on it briefly a moment ago, is this 100% renewable concept. And obviously that's one of the scenarios that you guys looked at. What does that scenario look like on a balanced scorecard?
I think it's coming. It's part of the future. Increased renewables are going to continue to accelerate as we walk through this process. But right now in the analysis, what we looked at was an energy independence, where we have absolute control over the amount of CO2 emissions that MPW load creates. So that was the portfolio that we put together. But it was over a 4-day period, and it used some actual historical information to do that evaluation. And that's where the problem comes in with storage. Over time, it's difficult to store that much energy if your renewables aren't producing everything that you need, because every day the battery goes down a little bit more and a little bit more. So the cost of that portfolio is over $250 a megawatt, and all of the things that we looked at in the power supply study were in the 50 to 60 range. So it's possible. The technology is developing, but it's just not there yet. The other portfolio that we looked at in the 100% renewable was adding a clean combustion turbine, something that can burn 100% green hydrogen. And all of the assets that we looked at in this study are now capable, all of the natural gas assets are becoming capable of burning a percentage of hydrogen. There's a lot of push that way and a lot of industry attention into that. But that one actually fares a lot better because it's a much smaller combustion turbine, about 125 megawatts, but it's dispatchable, and you have the energy all the time as opposed to a limited amount of energy that's in a battery.
Right.
And so that actually fares quite a bit better, a lot less renewables in that clean CT, but we don't have a supply of green hydrogen yet. But
right.
but it looks like a lot more cost efficient way to go.
One of the other things that absolutely blew my mind on this was, so when I think of like batteries, and this is totally off script, so I apologize.
Yeah, it's all right.
But one of the things that blew my mind was when they were talking about the amount of energy that you could store for the community, right? And I don't remember how it came up in a conversation, but I was like, well, how much do you store? And somebody asked me, well, Chris, how much energy, like how long would you want us to be able to run Muscatine off of batteries, right? If push came to shove. And I stopped and thought about it, and I'm like, okay, well, I mean, we got some pretty big plants that if they aren't doing anything, nobody makes any money, nothing happens. I'm like, gosh, I think you'd want to keep them running. I mean, if you guys had something big you had to fix, it's probably a couple of days, like 3, 4, 5 days. And then like some of the biggest battery capacities that were in these plants were like, what was it, like 14 hours?
Yeah, the kind of the more standard battery duration for utility scale batteries right now is 4 hours. And then you can augment those. The scenario we looked at included a 12-hour duration battery, and even that is not really commercially available yet. You don't see battery systems with that duration now, but as MISO, the grid operator, is looking at these major events when those most critical, they're looking at kind of a 4-day event. So kind of right in that range that you were talking about, where you need to be able to supply, you know, through that span. But I think that's a challenge in where some folks get, we know we have wind, we know we have solar, we know we have batteries, so it seems like, well, let's just put all those together and we're there. It's really just the scale gets out of hand. To get through those periods where it isn't windy and sunny, the size and scope of the battery system just becomes unruly. In our scenario, it was almost $900 million just in batteries for Muscatine.
To do the 4 hours?
To get through that kind of 4-day worst case. It looked at meteorological data and said, okay, here's this 4-day span is kind of the worst case scenario you have to get through. So almost $900 million in upfront costs, and then an annual cost of, $97 million just to support and maintain the batteries and pay off that debt service. So that's where it really gets difficult, and that's why we're at this kind of point where the system's not ready to do that yet. So we're working that direction. So what do we do in the meantime to make sure that the system's stable?
And that's a great point on this flexibility. Is like, we all know computers for the longest time, every 6 months or every year, they doubled in power and batteries get smaller. And that will continue to happen in this industry, like no question, because it's a huge thing that has to happen. We're just not there yet. And that's where I think this chip thing, and this is, again, the amount I've learned in the last, but this combined heat and power unit is like a neat concept where like you're claiming everything out of it. So like, what is it, quick for like the Chris's at home, what's a chip, how does it work, like how's it good?
Well, the combined heat and power unit starts out with a combustion turbine, like a simple cycle unit or a combined cycle unit, and you find out the industry is terrible at this. So the exhaust from that, rather than just going up to the atmosphere, all the energy that's in that exhaust gets caught in a heat recovery steam generator. And then that boils steam and then sends that steam through a traditional steam turbine. But the nice part about the chip unit is rather than condensing that and losing the steam out of the back end of the turbine, that steam is used to heat up your steam customer's water into steam, and you almost extract all the energy out from the beginning to the end, and then that steam is used in the process. So that's it makes a very efficient train from one end to the other, and you lose very little energy throughout the process.
And that's when I first started, like I got like this like crash course in energy about a year ago, and I'm just looking at some of this stuff and I'm going, well, that makes sense. That like you guys were able to understand it. You guys do a great job at this. I know it may not feel like it all the time because it is such a complex thing, but you guys do a really good job of like pulling it down so the average person can understand it without having to feel like I don't get it. You know what I mean? Like it's just this nice, like this is stuff people can understand. Like the batteries are big. When they get smaller, we can look at it, right? And that's, historically, that's something you guys have done tremendously well for this community.
And thank you for saying that. We are really lucky to have a team of folks in our marketing group that can help us craft the message in a way, you know, that resonates with, you know, our customers, and then of course having folks like Doug that can explain these things and present this material in a way that everybody can kind of appreciate and understand. We're really lucky to have the staff we do to do that.
Plus, you guys do cool things like power breakfast. I mean, so like, let's not lie, that's why everybody loves it.
Yeah. So yeah, we held our power breakfast, our annual power breakfast event in February. We had, I don't know, around 50 or 60 stakeholders there for that. And we do that, and it's actually a great opportunity for our staff to step back. It's kind of our year-end review. So we look at our strategic plan and we highlight some of the accomplishments over the past year. We also look at our rates. We look at the impact of the community by having MPW as a municipal utility, how that's benefited the community over the past year. And we record those sessions, so that latest Power Breakfast is available on our YouTube channel, on public access, on our video on demand, on our website. Several ways to get to that. And PCTV, of course. So, you know, we want to share that information. Anybody who's interested can go out and watch that video and get the updates. So, pretty exciting.
Yeah. So, I know we kind of, Holly does a tremendous job of giving us this magical script of all the things we're supposed to talk about. I don't follow it very well, but I think we covered everything that we wanted to talk about pretty well, didn't we? Is there anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, kind of where we stand now. So we presented the latest study results to the board. We held our customer forum yesterday, which was excellent. Got a lot of questions and answers to that. And then we'll be taking the feedback we've received so far and coming back to the board for some decisions here in the next several weeks. So.
Now, was one of the scenarios, I was just thinking about this, was one of these scenarios like free electricity for everybody? Like, did you figure that one out?
We're still working on that one, but you know, maybe that'll be in the next study. Now, there was a time where MPW used to offer free residential electricity for December. They did free Decembers. And so I've tried to contemplate how we could maybe bring that back, but I haven't got the accounting folks to sign off on it yet. So.
Well, you know, that's tough because the thing about you guys is you're essentially a nonprofit. Right?
Yeah.
And so,
yeah, we are.
You know, you're like, it's parties done by this, it's silly.
Yeah.
It's really complicated, but you're basically a nonprofit. You're a nonprofit.
Yeah, we are a nonprofit.
And so it's all got to come from somewhere.
Right,
like at the end of the day, you have to balance, right?
Yeah.
You can't run in the negative. You've got to have enough capital on hand to do the things you need.
Right.
And so it's all got to come from somewhere. And you guys are so diligent at weighing the effect on every customer, like class of customer, from industrial, small business, residential, and also individual customers. Because I know, like, over Christmas, the customer service team was here, and you guys have so many programs out there for people that need help. And you know, you guys work with people to get what they need. You work with small businesses to kind of customize. Like, if they want to have a full green portfolio, they can do the Choose Green thing. Like, and so if there's ever one thing, like if you could take all this and boil it down to one thing for me that I'd want people to know is you guys have tons of levers you can pull. If you're a customer of MPW and you have a question, you want to do something, just pick up the phone and call them. There are people from Muscatine, you recognize their faces, they're going to help you through whatever it is. Like if you want to add solar to your house, they've got all the stuff. The Brawny guy,
Paul Burback,
can you know, help you guys do that. And it's all people you know, right? And they're gonna. There's no silly question. There's no whatever. Like, you guys do a great job of that.
Yeah.
So.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and it is a great thing having that municipal utility in Muscatine. Like you said, nonprofit. We refer to them as customer dollars. I mean, it's not MPW dollars. It's a customer's dollars, and we are here to help. So, as you said, if you have questions, definitely reach out to us.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for coming. Doug, was there anything else?
No.
Any other science you want to lay on us?
No, that's probably enough.
You know what? We should do like a science show with you sometime.
No,
I like that.
You don't. Nobody wants to go there.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I think.
I don't know if you have enough time.
How a power plant works. Doug could be the best person in Muscatine to be able to present that material.
Yeah,
that'd be fun. Just
come on down. We'll go for a tour.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Like, if seriously, side note, this is the last thing I promise, and then I'll show you. When they do their tours, like Customer Appreciation Day, you guys usually do some tours.
Yeah.
If you haven't ever been down there to see the scale and I don't even know how to describe it. It's just awe-inspiring in reality. Like, you know, when you say turbines, you know, think like the big movie turbines that you see that like people like fly into, you know, and get chopped up. Bigger than that. Like, but obviously they don't do that, right? But I mean, when you see this stuff, folks, it's what they do down there is just flat out amazing. Yeah. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Not a problem. Well, hey, Muscatine, we will be back tomorrow and enjoy. Well, it was a sunny day. Literally, in the time I've been talking, it went from nice, bright, and sunny to gray. So go